youth retention. Youth, they grow up here, they go off to school, they get really, really smart, and then we don't know if they come back. We want them to come back. What can we do, as we do have a decreasing population lately? What can we do to bring them back, and what can we do for them to lure them here? We're going to start with you, Brock.
Yeah, and I think the good news is that the population likely is not decreasing anymore. So if you look at the Ministry of Finance info, it looks like we actually increased over the last year, which I think is a good news story for Chatham-Kent.
Yep.
I do think that youth retention and attraction, so even attracting people that aren't from here to here, is really important. And you do that with quality of life improvement, right? So we have a lot of advantages in Chatham-Kent. We all know that. Yep. Low cost of living. You're not dealing with traffic for those of us who spend some time in Toronto. I mean, when you're looking at setting up, especially a business as a young person, it's a pretty attractive place. That's why I came back. Low overhead, pretty easy to afford a family life, and we need to really promote those types of amenities to a wider community. And I think part of that's empowering people that are already here doing those things to share their stories. So we've got a bunch of successful companies here. We've got a ton of successful young people like Sam here that have made it work, and we need to highlight those stories even more than we're doing now, and make it known that this is an attractive place to come start up a business or look for a new opportunity for new employment and make a life.
Awesome. And what brought you back?
So they say, how the phrase goes, your community is where you live, work, and play. My husband and I chose to come back because he's from Southwestern Ontario as well. And we lived in Toronto for a year, Peterborough for 2 years before deciding to come back, was like the live and play components. Both of our families are here. We knew we wanted to grow up back small town. But what's interesting is that's what motivated me to come back. It was the work that enabled me to come back. Right. So once we decided we wanted to come back to Chatham-Kent, we're not entrepreneurs. We both have different jobs that we need to be employed by. And so we needed to find work. And we were lucky in the sense that the time between deciding, yes, we're going to come home, which was around Christmas one year, and then we were able to come back by March, so only a 3 to 4 month kind of search. But that's really quick compared to some other people who I know who've said they're looking for an opportunity to come back, and when it comes up they will, but they've been looking for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. So I very much think it ties into economic development. Obviously all those things you said, Brock, people need to want to live here, but then they need to be able to live here. And those are two different but equally important conversations to have.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we're at an interesting point too. We're at this low unemployment rate right now in Chatham-Kent, and if you talk to employers, they're looking to expand. They're looking to attract new employees, and that's a different challenge than what was faced 6 years ago, 8 years ago. Yeah. So part of making the community successful is making those employers successful, and part of making them successful is giving them the tools to attract employees, and we got to be on people's radar. So like Melissa's saying, people want to come back here, but there needs to be opportunity, and people also need to see those opportunities and think that coming back here is an option. So we want people to be thinking about Chatham-Kent when they're off doing the other things that they're going to be doing, and think if an opportunity comes up here, I do want to come back and fill that need.
The Chatham-Kent Chamber did a bus tour last week, and all of them said that they can't hire talent. Talent acquisition was their number one concern. It wasn't the taxes, it wasn't anything, it was talent acquisition. Greenfield ethanol plant, they said that we've got some very high paying jobs, very high skilled, educated people. We can't attract them to Chatham-Kent because of the lack of social life in the area, or the amenities that they don't think we have, because we're not showcasing everything that we do have. Because we have a lot of great things. Yes, we have room for improvement, but we need to showcase and be proud of those things that we do have to attract those talent over here.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with that point, and part of the problem is visibility of what is actually here. Before I came here, everybody I talked to, with the exception of the family that was living down here on my wife's side, didn't know much about Chatham-Kent. It's basically branded and marketed as a place with a lot of history and not much else. So for a young person who's trying to look at where they want to settle, there's no visibility of what's actually here. Like, places like this are great. Young people love to come to a nice coffee shop like this, or microbrews, like at Sons of Kent. But nobody knows that's, especially here in Ward 6, but it's even more difficult in the smaller communities surrounding Chatham, because the brand that we present to everybody else is not the brand that is actually here, right? We've branded this community in a way that makes it invisible to everybody who's living around us, what we actually have. And I think part of that's on the municipality. If you go to the municipality's website and you look at what there is to do in Chatham-Kent, you'll see nothing about this kind of nightlife stuff or all
Right.
these other activities. You'll see a lot about the history in Chatham-Kent, but you won't see what's there to do for, you know, where are you going to take your kids? Are there places to go? Are there events that are going on? The municipality just doesn't make that visible to young people, which we should be doing.
I echo what Gordon's saying. So I moved here 11 years ago. I met my wife while we were just dating, but at Laurentian up in Sudbury. And she said she lived in Wallsburg, and I just stared at her with a straight, what? And by Chatham. Well, I kind of knew Chatham from going down to Windsor. And even when I talk to my buddies today who live in, you know, the KW, the Toronto area, they don't know much about this area. But when I start talking about it and they come down and visit, and then you start talking about, well, this is what the, you know, low cost of living. We have a lot of the amenities here. And then I start questioning them, how long does it take you to drive from one side of the city? How long does it take you to drive to work each day? Well, you know, you can be in London in an hour, Detroit in an hour. This is an awesome place to live, but I think as residents and as a municipality, we haven't marketed it very well.
Yeah. We do a decent job on the cost of living, so we present, hey,
Right.
Homes are cheaper down here, you know, it's more affordable.
We don't mention the
you can
taxes.
live. No, we don't. But we don't market the quality of life side of it, which is
Right.
really important to people.
Yeah.
You know.
At tonight's chamber, they did actually a presentation for the Pinty's Cup at a commercial out,
Yeah.
and Brock and I were talking about it. It was a detour Chatham-Kent, and it was actually someplace I would love to go. Like it captured all the different things we have. I do have to give props to that. It was pretty cool, and it was someplace that I would love to visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the detour concept is really good. I actually look to the west and see how like Windsor, Essex, like the Epic Wine Trail and a lot of their really small villages, they've come together, and it's been often through like BIAs or just businesses coming together to collaborate around initiatives to promote their area, supported by the municipality and their regional government, but largely driven by communities and community groups and business groups. And I think what we need is a municipality that can enable those conversations to happen or encourage those conversations to happen, because you know, I often talk to people out in Wheatley and say, 20 years ago, you would blink driving through Colchester or Harrow. There was nothing there. I remember going there to swim in the summertime. There was nothing. Now, you can't, Airbnbs are full all over the place. You can't book a restaurant reservation on the same day. The wineries are really packed, and I could see a lot of potential for that in Chatham-Kent, especially with our small town, you know, our small villages, small town, our wine, ag industry.
Yep.
That's an area we could capitalize for sure. That's just very trendy, right? That's what young people are
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys? You want to add to that or no? All right.
Well, this is another way to connect, you know, Ward 6 with all of the surrounding communities too, because this is something that's not ward specific. This is a community thing. So
Right.
if we're going to present this as something, as a reason to come to Chatham-Kent, this is something that would bring all the wards together, all the smaller communities, all the local communities together with Chatham here in Ward 6, and try to bring people in. Because it's something that no one specific ward is going to be able to do on its own, right? So, I mean, we were talking about this issue before. This is one of the ways to do it.
And ultimately, I think making a livable community or a livable town or city, depending on where you are, that drives large economic impact, right? They're not going to build a large infrastructure business or industry if they look around and think, oh, there's no way I can get employees to live here, right? Like when people are looking to invest, they're looking at the community. They're looking at schools, storefronts, grocery stores, extracurricular activities, because they want to be able to get people to live near where their business is. So really that like living, that element of community, it encourages individuals to come back. It also encourages small businesses to invest, and it also encourages large infrastructure to come through. So it scales all the way up.
Awesome stuff.